Alright my fellow agents, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and since the introduction of the new Climax mission, which was a few days back, I've been receiving your messages here at the channel asking me to highlight a few different builds that I'm using either as a solo player on Heroic or if I'm running in a group on Master difficulty. Now with that being said, in today's build breakdown, I'm going to show you 3 different variations of a build you can definitely use with this new Climax mission. And as you've heard me mention in previous videos, in my opinion, you definitely want to have at least one of these builds saved in your loadouts because you can truly depend on it for so many different things in the game. Now as always, we're going to jump right into the details, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out. And if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now for every build breakdown you're about to see, I'm using the gunner specialization. I'm doing that for the typical reasons. You get that extra armor on kill, you get a reload speed increase, but the primary reason is because it gives me access to the Banshee Pulse, and I love to use that in combination with the Crusader Shield when I'm running with a build like this. Now once again remember, and this is something I say in every build breakdown, you need to make sure you have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. And I say that because a lot of players out there use the same template for different builds. And if you happen to forget to activate the proper weapons, you're leaving 15% weapon damage on the table, and you don't want to make that mistake. Now for every build breakdown you're about to see, I'm using St. Elmo's engine as my primary weapon. This is still my go-to assault rifle in the game, and the reason it's so effective is because with its talent, shooting an enemy with this weapon is going to give you 1 stack, and at 100 stacks, the next magazine will be 100% filled with shock ammo. And then you look at the mods, you got that 15% crit hit damage, 30 extra rounds, 10% weapon handling, and 15% crit hit chance as well. And that combination with the talent and those mods really puts this weapon in the next tier for me. Now as far as the secondary and sidearm is concerned, with the secondary I'm using the rock and roll shotgun. You could use the stack broker if you want. You could also use an ACS-12. We're using that to build those stacks for striker as quickly as possible. And for the handgun we're using the quick step because that has the talent sport mode, and that is going to give us an extra 20% movement speed when we have that weapon in our hands. Now making our way to the gear itself, you can see we're running 4 Striker, 1 Fenris, and the Catharsis Mask, which is what we're starting with. Now this is one of those must-have exotics in the game, and the reason it is so effective is because of its talent Vicious Cycle. Taking damage is going to build stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack is going to grant 1.5% weapon damage. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, then dropping a healing cloud which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. Now for those of you out there who do not have this mask, thankfully it is in the general loot pool. You can farm for it anywhere the mask is the targeted loot. I recommend hitting up the summit or countdown, and remember with retaliation you can actually farm for the blueprint for this thing and actually craft one for the first time. And if you have no idea how that system works, I will leave you a link in the video description down below to something I posted recently walking you through all the farming / crafting details. Now another great option for this build is swapping out the Catharsis for Coyote's Mask. This has the Talent Pack Instincts, where you and all your allies are going to gain a crit hit chance and or crit hit damage bonus based on the distance of the last enemy you hit. Continuing on to the body armor, it's the 1 piece of Fenris. That's going to give us an extra 10% assault rifle damage bonus, and we are using the Talent Obliterate. Critical hits are going to increase weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. Next we have the holster, the knee pads, gloves, and the backpack. Those are the 4 pieces of the Striker gear set. We're running 4 so we get all of the gear set bonuses. 2 pieces 15% weapon handling, 3 pieces 15% rate of fire, 4 pieces Striker's Gamble. Weapon hits increase total weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up to 100 times. You will notice on every single piece of gear I'm doing my best to stack crit hit chance and crit hit damage everywhere I can. I'd also like to point out I'm sitting at 1.3 million armor. You may want more, you may want less. Again, this is just a template. Make this thing your own. Last but not least, when it comes to the bag, because we are wearing a Striker backpack, we have access to the talent risk management, and that is going to increase the total weapon damage gained per stack of Striker's Gamble from 0.65% to 0.90%. As far as the skills are concerned, as I said previously, I'm using the Banshee Pulse and the Crusader Shield. That holds true for this second variation as well. Now what I've done is the following. I've switched the mask to a piece of Striker. I've also switched the backpack to the Memento. Now as a solo player in this game, this, in my opinion, is the best exotic you can have. Now, the reason for that is because it has the talent kill confirmed. Enemies you kill drop a trophy and death. Collecting trophies provides both a short-term and long-term buff. You can see how it scales. You got weapon damage, bonus armor, and skill efficiency. And even though you can use this backpack in a group, remember, you're only going to get those trophies if you actually make the kill. Now, as a solo player, you're doing all the killing, so you're picking up those trophies non-stop. And that is why you see so many players out there using this backpack on a regular basis, because it is pretty damn tough to beat. Now the final variation in today's video is going to be the following. We are going to switch the backpack to the ninja bike. We are then going to change the body armor to the equalizer. That is the first piece of unit alloys. And then we're going to switch the holster to the salvo holster. That will be the second piece of unit alloys. And once again, remember, because we have the ninja bike equipped, we have access to the talent resourceful. That slots in with any equipped gear set and or brand set item to fulfill a requirement towards unlocking a gear set's bonus. Now that simply means even though we only have 3 pieces of the striker gear set equipped, we are going to be getting that 4-piece bonus, which is exactly what we're targeting. And when it comes to the body armor and the holster, we only have 2 pieces of unit alloys equipped. But again, we are getting that 3rd brand set bonus, which is an extra 50% magazine size. Now look, when it comes to any one of the builds I just showed you, once again, remember, this is just a template, as there are so many different ways you could put a build like this together. Some of you may look at it and say, you know what, I want that extra weapon damage having the striker backpack. Others may want the magazine size using the ninja bike and the combination of the 2 unit alloys. And you also have a lot of players out there like myself who lone wolf this shit all the time, and you're thinking memento all day long. So again, my friends, take your time, make a build your own. Hope this helped you out, and if you happen to have any questions I did not address, please let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope everyone is having a great weekend so far. Alright, so a few things I want to mention really quick as I leave you with the gameplay footage. First of all, the version you're seeing on screen right now is the initial one that I showed you, using the Catharsis mask, and as a solo player, that thing will definitely save your ass time and time again. Now, as you heard me mention a bunch of different times in that video, this is just a template, blah, blah, blah. And the reason I say that multiple times is because, you know, you have so many different ways you can roll with this. I mean, another great option is using the survivalist specialization, as that is going to give you some extra protection from elites. And you'll also have access to the explosive bolts that can help you break the armor of the main boss at the very end. You don't need to have that, but again, it's another option. And instead of stacking crit chance and crit damage, you could also stack protection from elite mods to give you more survivability. Now, one recommendation I pass along to players who happen to be on the fence between challenging and heroic difficulty is your first attempt should be on challenging. The reason I say that is take that run to really get familiar with the spawn points of the enemies, the different mechanics you need to learn in order to complete the mission in the first place. Because remember, if you attempt this on heroic and you die, you're going to the very, very beginning of the mission. Now, if you happen to get all the way to the boss, you will respawn at the boss location. That holds true for heroic and master difficulty. And last but not least, right now in the game, there happens to be some issue at the very end with the molten metal and all that stuff. And in full transparency, that's one of the reasons I've been staying away from running this as a solo player on master difficulty, is because I don't want to run into an issue at the very end. And look, I've heard from a lot of players out there, you're saying you're running into no problems whatsoever. We all know when you get to the very end and something isn't working correctly, it kind of sucks. So again, consider that your fair warning, my friends. Last but not least, one final recommendation I want to pass along is when you get to the boss at the very end, switch one of your skills to the Reviver Hive, because look, the boss is really tanky. And having that equipped can definitely save your ass, as you will see in my gameplay footage. That's all I got for this video. I'm going to leave you with some highlights of my running this as a solo player on heroic. I'd also like to mention there are certain cutscenes in this video, so if you do not want any spoilers, feel free to turn off the video once I take out the main boss at the very end. Thank you once again for everything, my friends. Take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and I will see you in the next one.
Agent, can you send me a diagnostic report from the furnace system? Maybe we can figure out what's wrong. Looks like there's no coolant entering the furnace.
Then there's 2 options. Increase the water supply or release the pressure.
Your traps fill up the water pipes.
Guess that means there's only one option.
Agent, the pressure's stable, but it won't last long if you don't turn off the power.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
All you need to do now is release the molten metal.
Systems critical. Disconnect immediately.
Good job, Agent. The furnace should be safe for now.
We'll try not to blow it up next time.
Atkins, what's your stat?
Manual override required.
Agent, Anderson's locked himself in the control room. He's sending hostiles to your position. Hold your ground. This is his last stand.
Gotta go for it!
Agent, Atkins' team are closing in on Anderson. Just hold out a little longer. Agent, I see a water cannon close to your position. Maybe it'll give you an edge.
Vital signs critical. Agent down.
We've got Anderson, standing by.
Drop your weapons! That's an order!
Acknowledged. Roger that. Eyes up, General.
No, wait!
Target down.
Do you have any idea what you've just cost us?
He was armed. It was him or us.
That is not how we operate. Anderson was supposed to face justice, not an execution.
You knew what he was capable of. If my guys didn't act, we'd be scraping even more bodies off the concrete. Look, Manny, I know this didn't turn out how you hoped, but at least it proves where we stand.
The castle will take you in. But if you want to build trust with the division, we've still got a long way to go.
Agent, after Mayhem's death, the pack scattered. The hyenas are reeling, and their grip on the streets is slipping away fast. Leaderless and broken, the outcasts' fire is burned to embers, reduced to whispers and ash. The True Sun's uprising left them more divided than ever. Whatever strength remained died with Anderson. And finally, there's Black Tusk. Sokolova tried to unite the factions. Now she stands alone. Agent, you've given the city hope. But in the chaos that follows, we must be ready for the battles ahead.